If you're forcing your top performing closers to sit through daily meetings, you're actually costing yourself more money and pushing your best talent towards the door. Now, today I'm going to show you why the one-size-fits-all approach to sales meetings is killing your team's performance, and how to structure your coaching based on who actually needs it versus who just needs to be left alone and close deals. Here's the thing. Most sales managers and business owners run their sales teams the same way. Everybody gets on a daily huddle, everybody reports their numbers, everybody listens to the same coaching, and then everybody gets back to work. And on the surface, this seems fair. Equal treatment for everybody, same expectations across the board, but here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. Your top performers, the ones or the closers who are, hitting 30, 40, 50% close rates, are sitting in these meetings thinking one thing. This is a complete freaking waste of my time. I could be on another call right now closing deals instead of listening to the same motivational speech I've heard 100 times before. Meanwhile, your newer reps or underperformers are sitting in the same meeting, not getting enough attention. And the coaching might just be too generic. Their specific problems aren't being addressed and they need more hands-on guidance, but they're getting the same 30-minute group session as everybody else. So you end up in this weird situation where your best salespeople are getting too much oversight and your struggling reps, well, they aren't getting enough attention, and nobody is getting what they actually need in that situation. So this is the fundamental problem with treating your entire sales team the same way. Different performers, they have different needs, and if you ignore that reality, you're going to frustrate your A players and fail to develop your B and C players. Not that you should have B or C players on your team. But anyway, I digress. And the result, you might be asking? Well, your top performers start looking for other opportunities where they'll be trusted to do their job. And your underperformers never improve because they're not getting the generic, or they're getting generic, coaching instead of the specific coaching that they actually need. And you are left wondering why your team has a high turnover and inconsistent results. Now, let me get inside the head of your top performer, or whether that's your setter or a closer, right? Because most managers don't understand how these people think. A top closer, an A player, is competitive, driven, and results orientated. They measure everything themselves by their numbers, right? Every hour of their day is either moving them forward towards the income goals or it's wasted time. And when you pull them into a daily meeting, here's what they're calculating in their head. This meeting is 30 minutes. I could have taken 1 or 2 sales calls in that time. At my close rate, that's potentially one deal I'm missing. That's $500, $1,000, or even $2,000 in commission I just lost by sitting in this damn meeting. They don't need motivation at all. They're self-motivated, right? And that's why they are top performers. They don't need basic coaching on objection handling because they've already mastered it. They don't need accountability check-ins because the results speak for themselves, right? And what they experience in daily meetings is micromanagement. They feel like you don't trust them. They feel like you're treating them the same way as the new guy who just started last month and cannot close anything. And here's the thing about top sales talent. They have options. If they feel micromanaged and undervalued, they will leave. They'll go find an offer where they're trusted to do what they do best, which is close deals. And I've seen this happen so many times. A business owner insists on daily meetings, or just everybody thinks that, this creates accountability and a culture. And I get it, trust me. All these gurus are always saying daily meetings, daily meetings, daily meetings. That is not the way to go. I promise you, I have lost more reps by doing that over the years than actually, just doing what I've figured out right now, which is separating your A players from your B players, right? And treating them differently, okay? Because what you'll see is that, if you do treat everybody the same, your top closer will get frustrated and they are quietly going to start interviewing elsewhere. And, then on one day you wake up and they're gone. Okay. Now the business owner is going to be scrambling to replace their best performers, all because they couldn't recognize that top talent needs to be managed differently. And the irony here is that the daily meetings is meant to improve performers, right, or performance, and that exact daily meeting that was meant to drive performance actually drove away their highest performer, right? Now let's flip to the other side. Your newer reps or struggling performers have the exact opposite problem. They're not getting enough attention. And when you're new to sales or new to the specific offer, you don't know what you don't know, right? You're making mistakes on calls you're not even aware of, or you're missing buying signals, or you're fumbling objections, or you're saying things that kills deals without you even recognizing it, right? And these are the reps that need constant feedback. They need somebody in their ear after every call pointing out what they did right and what they did wrong. Right? They need role-playing sessions to practice their objection handling. They need their calls to be reviewed in detail, not just discussed in a generic group setting. Okay? And here's where a 30-minute daily huddle with the sales manager gives basically a general kind of call with everybody on the call is not going to help them. Okay, the coaching is too broad, right? It's not specific enough to their individual weaknesses. And they're basically going to walk away from a generic meeting and make the same mistakes on the next call. Okay, so you're just wasting your time there. So what they actually need is intensive one-on-one coaching, daily call reviews where somebody breaks down exactly what happened and why, right? Specific feedback on their tone, their questions, their timing, and their closes. But here's the problem. When you spend all your time, coaching, on group meetings that your top performers don't need, you don't have time left for intensive coaching, right, for your newer reps. So your struggling reps stay struggling. They never develop because they never get the specific hands-on guidance that they would actually get that will help them improve and what they need. And eventually they either quit because they're not making money, or you fire them because they are not hitting their numbers. And then you start the hiring process all over again, bring in a new rep, and basically you're going to repeat the same cycle because your coaching structure is broken. So you might be sitting there and wondering, well, Craig, what is the solution? Right? You need to stop treating your sales team as one homogeneous group and start treating your coaching based on performance. Here's the framework I recommend. For your top performers, the ones who are consistently hitting or exceeding their KPIs, cut way back on required meetings. Maybe a weekly check-in instead of a daily, right? Or maybe a quick 10-minute Monday morning alignment call, right? Instead of a 30 minutes basically every single day. Here's the thing, your top performers, give them autonomy. Trust them to manage their own schedule and let them do what they do best, which is close deals. If they want to join in an optional training sessions, great, let them. But don't force them to sit through coaching calls if they don't need it, right? Check in with them individually to make sure they have what they need, good leads, support with specific deals, answers to questions, but don't waste their time with group meetings designed for people who are playing at a different level. Okay. Now, for your middle performers, people who are decent but aren't crushing it, keep some structure but make it more targeted, right? Maybe 3 meetings per week instead of 5. Focus the coaching, right, on specific areas where they're weak rather than generic motivational content. Okay. And for your newer reps and your underperformers, this is where you double down on coaching. Daily meetings, yes, but make them one-on-one or small group sessions focused on their specific development areas, okay? And this is where things such as role-playing specific objections that they're struggling with comes into play, right? And give them intensive hands-on guidance. Okay. Now, the key insight is that the amount of coaching should be inversely related to their performance, right? The better somebody is at performing, right, the less oversight they need. The worse somebody is at performing, the more attention they require. Now, this seems obvious when you say it out loud, right? But here's the thing, almost nobody actually structures their sales management this way. They default to treating everybody the same, which serves nobody well. Now, I know you might be thinking, but what about team culture? Don't daily meetings bring, the team together and, build cohesion? And here's the thing, I thought that too, right? And this is where I lost my first great closer a couple of years ago, because I thought the same thing. Hey, let's have daily meetings so we can build a team culture. Since we're an online-based business and don't shake each other's hands every day, why not hop on a 30-minute to an hour-long call every morning to build team morale and team culture? Here's my take on that. Forced meetings don't build culture. They basically, results build culture. Winning builds culture. And your top performers don't feel more connected to the team by sitting in meetings. They feel connected by being part of a winning organization when they are valued and trusted. And your struggling reps, well, they don't feel more connected by hearing the same generic coaching. They feel connected when somebody invests time in helping them improve and succeed. And if you want to build culture, do it through results, recognition, and actual relationships, not mandatory meeting that wastes everybody's time, right? So have maybe a weekly team meeting where you celebrate wins and recognize top performers, right? And plan occasional team events that are actually enjoyable, right? Create communication channels where people can connect organically, but don't confuse mandatory daily huddles with culture building like I did, right? They're not the same thing. And for your top performers, forced meetings actually damage culture because it signals that you don't trust them. The best sales culture I have seen are the ones where top performers are basically given freedom and recognition, while newer reps are given intense support and development. That's a culture people want to be a part of, not one where everybody sits through the same meeting regardless of their performance level. So how do you actually implement this if you're currently running daily meetings for everybody? Well, first, categorize your team by performance. Look at the last 90 days of data. Who's consistently above target? Who's hitting target? Who's below target? And be honest about where people actually fall. Okay. Second, have individual conversations with your top performers. Tell them that you recognize that, they're producing at a high level and you want to give them more autonomy, right? Ask them what they, need in terms of support from you. And most will just tell you that they need good leads and they want to be left alone. Okay. Third, restructure your team schedule or your team meeting schedule, right? For your top performers, move to weekly check-ins or make daily meetings optional. My recommendation is just to go with once a week, okay? For middle performers, reduce the frequency, but increase the focus, right? And for your newer reps, actually increase the intensity for your one-on-one coaching time, okay? And fourth and final, reallocate your time. All the hours you were spending on group meetings that performance don't need, redirect that to intensive coaching with the people who actually need development. This is much better use of your time, okay? Now, other than that, I really hope this video helped you with some which way or form. And if you are looking for world-class setters or closers in your business, we're actually a recruiting company that helps our clients by going out there and recruiting the very best talent possible. And our clients only pay us after we have found them somebody, which is a very good point. Now, I really hope you found somebody out of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.